Good morning, everyone. My esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today to share with you a little bit about our work within the framework of the SUSTAIN initiative, which supported by the European Union. My name is Islam Hassan. I'm from Egypt. I work as Associate Professor for the National Research Center. My research focuses on plant ecophysiology under abiotic stress conditions, particularly salinity and drought, with a strong emphasis on improving water use efficiency and crop productivity under arid and semi-arid conditions. Today, I will be presenting our approach to transforming desert environments into productive agro systems, focusing on managing soil salinity and ensuring the groundwater sustainability in key regions such as Wadi Natron and El Mora. This work aims to bridge scientific research with practical field applications to support the sustainable agriculture under challenging environmental conditions. As you can see here, this slide is very crucial because this slide highlights on soil salinity as a growing global threat to agricultural sustainability. Currently, more than 800 million hectares of the land worldwide are affected negatively by salinity, including around 20 to 30% of the irrigated land. Even more concerning, around 1.5 million hectares are lost every year due to ongoing salinization and soil degradation. This problem is particularly severe in arid and semi-arid regions where high evapotranspiration, limited rainfall, and the use of mineralized groundwater accelerate intensively the salt accumulation within the root zone. In addition to that, the use of inefficient irrigation facilities furthermore intensify this challenge. So this clearly demonstrates that soil salinity is not only a local issue, but a global constraint that directly threatens food security and agricultural productivity. Moving to the next slide. This slide very crucial because it illustrates the main driving forces behind the desert agriculture expansion in Egypt. Due to increasing population pressure and limited freshwater resources, traditional agriculture in the Nile Valley is no longer sufficient to meet the growing demands. As a result, Egypt has shifted toward reclaiming the desert land in regions such as Wadi Natron and El Mora. However, these areas rely mainly on saline groundwater, which introduces new challenges related to soil salinity and water management. So this kind of transition highlights clearly the urgent need for innovative and integrated strategies to ensure sustainable agricultural production under water-scarce conditions. Moving to the next slide, which particularly focus on the water stress situation across Africa, with a particular focus on Egypt. As you can see here, large parts of the continent are already under high to extremely high pressure. Now, if we come to focus on Egypt, the situation becomes even more critical. Around 80% of the available water is already being used annually. This means Egypt is operating very close to its water limits. What makes this more challenging is its heavy dependence on the Nile River, which increases the vulnerability to both climate variability and upstream activities. So the key question here becomes how we can improve water use efficiency under these harsh conditions. The next slide, as you can see, clearly demonstrates the main water resources structure components in Egypt. As we mentioned before, Egypt's water system is highly dependent on the Nile River, which provides about 60–80% of the total supply. The reuse contributes around 18%, while the groundwater rainfall and desalination remain limited. This creates a vulnerable system highly exposed to external and climatic pressures. So improving efficiency and diversifying water sources is more critical. The next slide. Now let's think about this for a moment. We are starting from the scratch. We are starting from desert land areas with very limited natural productivity. But once we introduce the right infrastructure, especially water and irrigation systems, things start to change positively. Gradually, these areas become suitable for agriculture, and over the time, they can even support full agricultural communities. And this is really important for countries like Egypt, where fertile land is already limited. So instead of relying only on existing land, we can actually expand the production into new areas. In that sense, desert agriculture is not just an option, it is a strategic necessity. This slide highlights the core challenge of desert agriculture. As you can see, plants are not exposed to only single stress, but to combined stresses, mainly salinity, drought, and heat stress. Where salinity limits the water uptake, drought reduces water availability, and heat accelerates the oxidative damage. When these stressors interact together, combine together, their impact becomes more severe, leading to unstable productivity and significant yield losses. Although plants have natural defense system or mechanism that often insufficient under these harsh conditions. So effective management strategies, including the use of biostimulants, microbial support, and smart irrigation are fundamentally essential for securing or ensuring a sustainable production under desert conditions. So now we've reached our first successful destination, which is Wadi Natron. We're going to take a rapid look, an instant look at Wadi Natron area. This area is located west of the Nile Delta, and it represents one of the fastest growing desert agricultural zones in Egypt. But what makes this region interesting is also what makes it challenging at the same time. We are dealing with a very harsh environment, a very low and limited rainfall, as I mentioned before, high temperatures and strong evaporation rates. At the same time, the soil are sandy, low in organic matter, and highly vulnerable to salinity. And importantly, agriculture here depends mainly on the groundwater. So now this is where the main challenge appears. Groundwater often has moderate to high salinity percentage, and with continuous irrigation, salts start to accumulate within the soil. So despite the rapid agricultural expansion in this area, there is an increasing risk of soil degradation over the time. In other words, Wadi Natun is a great example showing that expanding agriculture in desert areas is possible, but sustainability depends on how well we manage water and salinity. As you can see within this slide, Wadi Natron is a natural desert depression located below the sea level, characterized by closed basin condition. This means that water entering the system has no natural outlet, leading to the accumulation of salts over the time. Geochemically, groundwater in this area is often saline, impacted by mineral dissolution and evaporation processes. The high temperatures and evaporation rates further concentrate salts in both soil and water. At the same time, the area benefits from good accessibility and proximity to major infrastructure, which has supported its rapid agricultural development. So the transformation of Wadi Natrun is not random. It is the result of understanding and managing these geographic and geochemical constraints effectively. Moving to the next slide. As you can see, this slide combining together the main drivers of salinity in Egypt with a particular focus on Wadi Natrun. As you can see here, the main drivers of salinity in Egypt is in some parts the seawater intrusion and the high evapotranspiration or the high evaporation, the use of inefficient irrigation facilities, the establishment of inefficient drainage systems. But going to directly to Wadi Natrun, the main drivers here, the soil groundwater irrigation, the inefficient drainage system in some parts, and the high evaporation. Now, if we look at this is what desert agriculture looks like in reality. On the left, we can see large-scale agricultural expansion, which uses central pivot irrigation systems, while on the right side of this slide, we move closer to the field level operations, where the irrigation and crop production are actively taking place. So this is no longer just a concept, it is already happening at a successful scale. Wadi Natrun stands as a clear example of this transition from harsh desert environment to productive agricultural landscape through the implementation of integrated management and the insertion of some biological solutions, the implementation of well-established drainage system, etc. This slide shows what desert agriculture looks like in practice. We see aerial production systems from citrus orchards to irrigated fields of crops. So productivity is already achievable. However, the key factor here is the diversification in crops, water sources, and management approaches, because relying only on single system increases the risk under harsh conditions. Diversification enhances the stability, resilience, and long-term sustainability. In other words, success is not just about only expanding land, it's about building well-managed system. Some pictures from Wadi al-Latroon farms or orchards, as you can see, grapes, olives. Now we're here. As you can see, this slide demonstrates clearly one of the most effective protocols that has been used largely in Wadi al-Latroon, which is the application of organic matter on a yearly basis directly into the soil. Organic matter is known for its ability to enrich the soil in terms of nutrient availability, in terms of increasing the soil retention capability, increasing and boosting the soil health, which will significantly reflect on the overall production and the overall vegetative growth. The same here, as you can see, this slide highlights on the mixture between the organic matter combined with selected fertilizers under saline conditions. This kind of combination is essential because, as I mentioned before, organic matter improves the soil structure, the water retention, and the biological activity, while the chemical fertilizers ensure the availability of key nutrients. So together they can enhance the soil physical, chemical, and biological properties under these conditions. In addition, this slide shows two important aspects: working together, monitoring, and field practice. We use modern instruments to measure soil and water parameters, especially salinity, allowing real-time decision-making. At the same time, the adoption of raised planting designs help to control salt distribution by moving salts away from the root zone. This reduces stress on plants, particularly during early growth stages. So the key message here is very clear: combining precise monitoring with a smart field design is fundamentally essential for effective salinity management. Now we've reached our second successful story. Now we're going to take a closer look at El Moghra as our second case study. This area represents one of the largest agricultural expansion projects in Egypt. It is located in the western desert, about 250 kilometers from Cairo, with a total area exceeding 200,000 acres. So from a development perspective, the potential is huge. However, the main challenge here is water. The entire system relies heavily on the groundwater. But here, the salinity levels ranging between 3,000 to 7,000 ppm. And when we combine this with the hyper-arid climate and the high evaporation rates, the system becomes very fragile. So the key question here is not just how to expand agriculture in these areas, but how to do it sustainably. And this is exactly where integrated management becomes essential, combining soil improvement, water management, and smart monitoring all together. As you can see within this slide highlights crop diversification as a critical strategy in El Moghra. Under such extreme conditions, relying on only single crop is too risky. So the agricultural system in El Moghra integrates permanent crops like olives, date palms, jojoba, which tolerate salinity and drought at the meantime. with some seasonal crops such as barley, sugar beet, quinoa and canola, onions, garlic, etc. This creates both stability and economic flexibility. This slide reflects what successful desert agriculture looks like in practice. We see different crops performing, growing under harsh conditions, including perennial systems and field crops in sandy soil. This kind of success is not accidental. It is the result of integrating management, combining soil improvement, efficient irrigation, and appropriate crop selection. In addition to that, this is not just farming, it is a well-managing system adapted to extreme harsh conditions. These are some pics from El Mogra, as you can see. This slide I consider one of the most important and crucial slide, because this slide simply demonstrates how modern desert agriculture is evolving into an integrating system. Energy is generated through solar power, ensuring reliable irrigation, while water is carefully stored and managed under limited and saline conditions. These key elements are combined with optimized field design and crop systems. So the key message, or the clear message here, sustainable desert agriculture depends on integrating energy, water, and soil management. This is no longer a traditional farming. It is smart, climate-adapted agriculture. This slide introduces an important dimension of sustainable desert agriculture, which is the integration of aquaculture system, as you can see here. Under these environments, the water is not used only once, but is efficiently reused through fish production systems such as aquaculture systems. This allows us to maximize water productivity, especially under conditions of scarcity and salinity. In addition, the nutrient-rich water coming from fish ponds can be reused for irrigation, contributing to improved soil fertility and, at the meantime, reducing the need for external inputs. This slide highlights clearly a key dimension of desert development. The human factor. We are not only building agricultural systems, but integrating communities that combine housing, infrastructure, and production. Because long-term sustainability depends not only on crops and water, but on people, stability, and continuously, not only on crop diversification, the implementation of irrigation infrastructure, but these kind of agricultural systems care about the human and the human investment in terms of the infrastructure of housing, schools, and all the facilities. So in the end, sustainable desert agriculture means building systems that support both land and human communities. Now, this slide summarizes the overall approach for sustainable agriculture in desert environments. As you can see, the use of precision irrigation scheduling, deficit irrigation strategies, the soil organic amendments, and the use of beneficial microorganisms and like BGBR, mycorrhiza, trichoderma, etc. and the groundwater monitoring. Now this slide represents the integrating water strategy for sustainable desert agriculture. We start from the ground, which is currently the main water source supporting the agricultural expansion. However, relying only on groundwater is not sustainable in the long term. So the next step is desalination. Desalination technologies allow us to convert saline water into usable irrigation water, providing an additional and more reliable water source. But even this is not enough on its own to ensure long-term sustainability. We need to close the cycle. This is where managed aquifer recharge comes in. By injecting treated water back into the aquifer, we can restore groundwater levels and maintain system balance. So the key idea here is integration. We are not depending on single water resource, but combining groundwater, desalination, and recharge to build a resilient and sustainable water system. So this slide is fundamentally crucial because this slide is illustrating the achieving impact in desert agriculture that requires more than innovation. It requires effective translation into farmer practice. So our approach as researchers to bridge this gap by converting scientific knowledge into field-based solutions through demonstrations, capacity building, and continuous engagement with farmers. This ensures not only knowledge transfer but real adoption and outcomes in water use efficiency, soil restoration, and crop adaptation under arid and semi-arid conditions. In this regard, the strategic collaboration between the National Research Center and the Egyptian Academy of Scientific Research and Technology has led to the establishment of permanent experimental station. This platform delivers hands-on training and sustained technical support to farmers in Al Moghra and Wadi Natron, serving as a model for desert agricultural development. This slide represents our research on drought and salinity stress, key limitations in desert agriculture. These stresses cause osmotic imbalance, ion toxicity, and oxidative damage, reducing plant productivity. Our research work demonstrates that improving antioxidant systems, osmotic regulation, and photosynthesis enhances plant resilience. The applied solutions such as biostimulants, plant growth regulators, and organic soil matter significantly improve plant and soil performance. So the overall effective mitigation requires an integrated strategy linking the plant physiology, soil health, and water management. Salinity and drought reduce the productivity through physiological and soil constraints. Resilience can be improved via, as I mentioned, biostimulants, soil amendments, and optimized plant soil-water interaction. This slide highlights how science and technology have transformed Egypt's desert lands into productive agricultural system. Through modern irrigation, smart monitoring, and improved soil management, productivity has significantly increased. So as a result, Egypt has strengthened its position among leading global agricultural producers. This slide shows the gross and the global reach of Egyptian agricultural exports. Exports have increased steadily in both volume and value, reaching multiple international markets. Finally, the take-home message: groundwater is the backbone of agricultural expansion in Egypt. Salinity represents one of the most critical constraints that negatively impacting the crop productivity and the long-term sustainability. Sustainable irrigation strategies, improved soil management, and biological solutions are essential to enhance the plant resilience under saline conditions. Emerging agricultural regions such as Wadi Natron and El Moghra demonstrate the key successful factors to transform desert environments into productive agrosystems. Science-based management, water, soil, and salinity will be the key driver for resilience agriculture under arid and semi-arid conditions. The sustainable agriculture practices in Egypt desert lands include different successful key factors, including the switch to efficient irrigation system, the switch to efficient drainage system, the recharge of groundwater back into the aquifer, the adoption of desalination technologies, the integration of renewable energy, etc. By this, I would like to thank you for your kind attention, and I came to the end of my presentation, and I'm eagerly anticipating your question. Thank you so much.